Today, I want to answer the question, is it better to be a car enthusiast in Europe or in the United States? This is my rental car for the last couple days. Toyota Aygo. We don't have this in the US.
150 meters, slight right on SS 675.
And it's an interesting little city car. It weighs around 2,000 to 2,200 pounds. It's quite compact, but it's powered by a 3-cylinder naturally aspirated engine making only 70 horsepower. And this is me giving it the beans. 5-speed manual transmission, super long, light throws. Steering has a little bit of slop to it. This is not a peak driving experience car by any means. But it got me thinking, is it better to be a driving enthusiast in the US or in Europe? And I think there's pros and cons to each, so let's cover those. So the arguments for Europe being a better country. Number one, you have more iconic driving roads like Stelvio Pass between Switzerland and Italy in the Alps. Incredible road. I wanted to drive it this time, but we ended up taking the Panoramic Express train instead. Maybe next time I'll take Stelvio Pass. There are many other very iconic and gorgeous roads to drive on. So that's a point for Europe, I'd say. Another thing is that because Europe is so dense with all these different countries and each country has multiple different racetracks, there is a higher density of racetracks in Europe. And again, many of these are so iconic. You got Nürburgring, you got Silverstone, and so on. We actually just went to Monza earlier this week to see the Formula One Italian Grand Prix. So that's another win for Europe, I'd say. Higher density and more iconic and historic tracks. The events as well. Goodwin Festival of Speed, you have Le Mans. All these things are centered in Europe. Europe also has a very rich history of making some incredibly iconic cars. Earlier this week, we actually passed through the Motor Valley Triangle in Italy. So that's Modena, Maranello, and Saint Augustine. I forget the full name, but that's where actually Lamborghini is made. So in that Motor Valley Triangle, we saw some iconic museums: Pagani, Enzo Ferrari, and Lamborghini. Highly recommend if you're in the area. Now, depending on your flavor of car enthusiasm, you may feel that the cars in Europe are better. Maybe you think that the cars in America are better. That's up for personal preference. I personally believe, based on my taste, I prefer a lot of European cars, the Italian, German, British cars over American cars, but that's just my taste based on what I like in a car. But then, as I started reflecting more, I realized I think it's actually better to be a car enthusiast in the US. Now let me explain why. Number one, as a car or driving enthusiast, you want to enjoy your experience behind the wheel. And in Europe, they are far more strict with things like speed limits. Whereas in the US, depending on the state, it can be a little bit more lax. Speed limits, even on these highways, really vary. It can go up to 130 kilometers, and then it can drop instantly. And then they have not just fixed speed cameras, but also mobile speed cameras. And while we do have some speed cameras in various states and various regions of the US, they are far less common, and you can get away with speeding a lot easier than you can here in Europe. Another thing is that while there are some really great driving roads here, I think that they are more spread out and few and far between. And what I mean by that is in the US, I guess you have to be in the right region, because if you go to the Midwest, you're not really going to have great driving roads. But let's say you're on the West Coast, like in California. There are so many incredible driving roads.
Exit the roundabout onto the ramp. In 600 meters, merge onto A1 E35.
This is the toll station here, so got to grab a ticket. on our way. So with the higher density of driving roads in certain regions of the US and the more lax enforcement of speed limits, I think you can enjoy driving your enthusiast car in an easier way. Now in Europe, there are some great driving roads that are not far away. Like I was actually just driving some Miatas here at Miata Land. You can find that full video linked in the description. And it was a cool experience, but a lot of these roads, when you get to the nice windy part, there are no lanes. So you're not really going to be pushing a car because it's quite narrow. There's traffic coming the other way. All right, let's give it the beans, second gear. The other thing is the vehicles. So while Europe makes incredible vehicles, depending on the country, they're going to tax you based on CO2 emissions or engine displacement or total power. And that can get very expensive very fast. Combine that with the fact that gasoline is way more expensive here. We're talking, they do it per liter here, right? And it's in euros, not in US dollars, whereas in the US, we do US dollars per gallon. Anyways, it comes out to about $7 to $8 per gallon here in the EU. And let me tell you, that adds up fast. Even in a little Toyota Aygo with 45 miles per gallon, that cost does add up quite quickly. Now, lane discipline here is both better and worse than in the US. So, as an example, people will lane discipline in the sense of moving to the right if you're not overtaking. Like I'm overtaking these cars on the right, which is why I'm going to be staying here in this middle lane, and then I'll move over to the right when I'm done overtaking. That is very common, and the discipline around the fact that you use the left lane to overtake is way better here. But one thing that's really interesting is that, at least here in Italy, I've noticed people don't stay in their lanes. Like they'll just be driving on a highway like this, and they'll be straddling two lanes. Either they'll be like literally in the middle of two lanes, or they'll be kind of like 2/3 in one lane, 1/3 in the other. I don't fully understand it. It seems to be more of a cultural thing because it is very, very common. And whether that's on the highway or whether that's on city streets, you're going to see people not staying in their lane without them actually changing lanes. They're just kind of drifting a little bit into one lane and drifting back into their intended lane. It's almost as if they're distracted by their phone, but I don't think they actually are. I think it's just a cultural thing. So going back to the point about the cost of fuel and being taxed on your engine displacement or power, CO2 emissions, it allows you therefore to enjoy sportier, more enthusiast cars of a certain category because, you know, Mazda Miata 1.8, 2.0 liter engine is not going to have large displacement or a large engine. But if you want some more power, some more drama, you want a V8, a V10, a V12, you want a Porsche flat 6 4-liter, those cars are going to be much more expensive to own and operate in Europe versus the United States. In Europe, since about 2022, they've also enacted this legislation requiring tons of driver aid. So you have these drowsiness detectors alert system that's scanning your eyes to see if you need a break, etc., and it'll be pinging at you and bothering you. You'll have the speed limit sign recognition, and it'll constantly be beeping if you're over that speed limit. You have lane keep assist standard, which I don't have a big deal with or a big issue with because, yeah, generally speaking, if you are drifting out of your lane, you should be alerted. But these other things are just so intrusive that, you know, it can be a bit much. And it is unfortunate that we need these things because the average driver out there, both in America and here in Europe, is really quite poor. And it's for the greater good. But it is something that if you are a better driver, if you do take, I mean, everyone thinks they're a better driver, but let's just say if you take driving very seriously and you hone your skill and you take all the rules of the road seriously, as I think a good proportion of driving enthusiasts do, I know I certainly do, then these things can be more of a nuisance. And I think overall, the grass is always greener, right? And as humans, we are hardwired to want to complain. And I know some people who trust fund babies, went to the best private schools, had no loans or anything. Everything was taken care of for them. Their family is super functional, and the parents and the kids are all close. And it's like picture perfect family. But even those people struggle, because it is human nature to push against something, to struggle against something. You can't just be happy and have no problems, but just that the problems, they scale up or scale down. So the problems that someone from this background may experience, and I'm speaking from personal experience because I knew someone like this, they're just going to seem far more insignificant to you or I. So you may think, oh wow, it's so surprising that someone struggles so much over this small little thing, as an example. And when it comes to cars, we do the same thing. We tend to focus on what we're lacking, what problems we perceive, and we take it for granted, the things that are actually to our favor. And being born and raised in the US and visiting Europe now a couple times, this is my third time in Europe, I actually feel that I am lucky to live in the US as a car enthusiast. I think it is easier to enjoy cars in the US versus here in Europe. And we have to remind ourselves, because it is human nature, to constantly see the glass half empty, to see what we're lacking. To think, hey, wait a minute, at least on the West Coast, we have such incredible access to beautiful driving roads. We're able to enjoy them at speed much easier than we can in Europe. We're able to access cars, and granted, certain cars like Mazda Miatas are way cheaper here than in the US. Like you want to get a NA and B and C, way cheaper here than in the US. But when you start getting more powerful cars, it's a lot cheaper in the US than here. Fuel is a lot cheaper in the US than here. And the car culture itself, I think the car culture in both places is excellent. It's very, very region specific. So I think the car culture in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I'm originally born and raised, is very different from the car culture in Los Angeles. Two regions in the same state in the US, and there's 50 states in the US, right? So it's going to differ by state and by region within the state. Same thing in Europe. There are so many different countries here. The car culture will vary. But I think if you have the opportunity, you should definitely travel and have car experiences. I've done many videos of driving in Japan, and I've reflected on why Japanese and German cars feel different. You can watch that linked below. I've also more recently done a video on why Italian, German, and American cars feel so different, and how there's a reflection in the culture. So you see the same way the food is, you see the cars, and the same way the cars are, you see other aspects of that society and of that culture. It's really fascinating. And if you have the opportunity to travel, I do think it will give you greater appreciation for many things that you may be taking for granted, but also to see how similar we all are. You're going to see some different flavors as well. Like the Japanese people and the Germans are much more orderly and much more regimented and timely and things like that. Whereas in Italy, you're going to notice more emotionality and maybe even a little bit more ego, especially on the roads. I was riding in an Uber the first day I arrived to Milan, and our Uber driver was so, let's say, passionate. His ego was being challenged, and even when he was in the wrong, he was getting mad at other drivers. It's like, well, bro, you're turning from a lane where you're supposed to go straight, but you're trying to make an illegal turn. And, you know, there's a lot of mamma mia and, you know, hand motions and gestures, and it was more entertaining than anything for us sitting in the back. But these cultural differences are much more apparent when you start not only traveling, but having automotive experiences in different countries. So if you do visit Italy, as an example, I recommend you check out Miataland. I've done some videos on them. I've done experiences in Japan that are some of my favorite of all time. Many of us around my age, born and raised in the 90s, are huge JDM fans because the 90s was the golden era of the Japanese sports car. Let me know with a comment below. What do you think? Where's the best place to live if you're not just a car enthusiast, but a driving enthusiast? Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one.